All right. Hey everyone, so sorry for the technical difficulties, but we are up and running now and are ready to talk about Avengers Endgame. So welcome to this special live segment of Reels Talk. Maddie's joining us today to talk about the review. We just saw Endgame. We got out about a couple hours ago and are really super stoked to talk about it. Just so you know, we will be doing spoilers, but for the first like 5-10 minutes, we'll kind of give a general overview, our thoughts on the film. Kind of how it all plays out when it comes to how we felt it within the MCU. And then we'll give a score later on, but not till the end of the episode. So with that being said, Omar, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot, and it's hard to talk about it without talking about spoilers. I think the script was pretty good. There were some hokey parts, but I'm okay with hokey. There's nothing wrong with it. I think a lot of moments that were emotional for me were a little bit like it's a weird roller coaster of like laughing
A lot of
and
emotions, yeah.
emotions. So I consider this not to be a movie, but and like to me, it was like a big. Um, it was an experience. It wasn't a movie.
Yeah.
Which is the way that I felt a lot about Infinity War. Unlike Infinity War, though, I don't think this is a good standalone movie. I think this is a direct follow-up to Infinity War.
Absolutely.
I don't
It
think
has to be, yeah.
Infinity War is a movie that you can enjoy without having to watch everything else. This
You better
benefit from watching
Yeah,
everything.
I mean, this movie was definitely like, when we talked about after this, like it felt like a true comic book, like just like true to life comic book, basically. So it really just felt like, you know, wait, am I still here? Sorry, I couldn't tell.
Right.
It's going out. It's going out on my side. But it felt like I was reading a big crossover event or something like that. So that's honestly what it felt like. And and most of those crossover events aren't good by themselves. They mean a lot more if you've read other things. And that's how we felt with this. I don't think this movie's not for everybody, and I feel like unless you've seen all the rest, it won't mean as much to you because there's so much in here that really just gives like credit and ode to those previous movies, and not just those previous movies, but also some nice Easter eggs for comic book fans themselves. And
Yep.
I, man, I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was everything I thought it was going to be, and with some surprises. More than a few surprises. They did such a good job of wrapping this up, and or keeping things wrapped up and hidden, right? Because I knew generally how I thought it was going to go, but it didn't go exactly how I thought it would. So
Agreed.
pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
I think I felt the same way. There were so many cameos by characters that I had thought that had been written out for good that I was surprised to see. One in particular that Amanda and I joke about and have joked about for many years that we'll talk about in the spoiler section of this review.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It was for me, what the Russo brothers did so well is you can tell this was made by someone who loves comic books and someone who loves these characters. Because what I took away from this film after watching it was they did, like, you always talk about fan service, right? And some people say when people do fan service, it's usually like to mock them, or it's not good. And sometimes it cannot be good. But in this case, everything they played to the fans worked really well because it was all genuine, because they love these characters so much, and that really comes across. So that's probably one of the best things about this film. To me, like it felt like it was an experience to watch this film. And if you have followed these movies since 2008's Iron Man, you will not be disappointed. I do not think you will be. Unless you have it in your head how some characters' stories might end or how some character stories may go certain ways. But regardless, you should be satisfied with how this wrapped up this final phase, which I know that they said Spider-Man might be the denouement, but regardless, this is what wraps it up for the most part. And it just, to me, yeah, it stood out.
A real proper end. A real proper end to all of this in this saga.
Yes.
And I honestly, I felt very genuine, very sincere, very well earned. They could have made this. Yes. I know Omar said it's hokey. I think it could have been a lot more hokey. I'm surprised they didn't. It felt very And I felt like there's some very, very genuine reactions from characters based on what they've gone through.
Yes, exactly.
If there's a lot of real, true things they put in there that I'm very appreciative of.
And me and Omar actually, when we were in the theater, I mentioned him, I said, I think this might be some of the best acting I've seen out of some of these main characters out of all of the movies they've been in.
I would say Black Widow by far.
Black Widow by far.
Yeah.
Even Thor has some really amazing
Thor
scenes.
started changing in Thor Ragnarok, but
yeah, exactly.
in this, he goes through a massive change, which
yes,
we'll talk about in the
yes,
spoiler
which
section.
Is wonderful, yeah.
But I think, I don't know, I was laughing, I teared up. There were three things I wanted to see in this movie, and I got all three, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
There were three moments that I had been wanting to see since I saw that Iron Man was picked up to be a movie. And I'm like, okay, if they're gonna go through Avengers, then there has to be three things.
Yes, and my second part of my fan fiction that I write for Spider-Man partly came true. So I was happy that I had that right. So it made me very glad because it was something that I wanted, and I think it served the story very well.
Yeah.
But other than that,
we'll give you guys a heads up
when we start talking spoilers.
Yeah.
But what the Russo brothers have done, and I think some of the CGI was better than I've seen in other films in the past, and
there's something in particular I want to talk about in the CGI that I was like, oh wow, they've gotten really good at this.
Yes, I agree. So otherwise, but as far as
there was one thing in the CGI that bothered me, but I can't talk about it until we get to the spoiler section. But I wasn't happy with it because it reminded me of something else that I'm like, and I think it's the way that it was too lit, like too much use of daylight, and it's hard to pull off CG during those scenes.
Yeah.
And Marvel, unfortunately, is really notorious for that. I mean, most of their big battle scenes
are during the daylight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, let me see. Is there anything else you all want to mention before we go to the spoilers?
I say we could talk about spoilers now. And I know, so for those who haven't seen it, who want to head out, just so you know, I recommend this film. You should definitely go.
I recommend seeing all of them because I did a marathon with my little 9-year-old,
and it helps,
and it paid off because I was like, oh,
helps.
that's so and so from what's a movie.
Yes, they make a lot of references. There's a lot of stuff from the other movies. So yes, go back and do some of that homework if you have a chance, or even watch it, rewatch the other movies, and then come back and watch it again a second time because I know that's what I plan on doing. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's I guess we can talk a little bit.
We could talk about Stan Lee's cameo.
Yeah, so there was a Stan Lee cameo.
That's not really giving anything away.
Yeah, it kind of is because of where it's set.
Doesn't matter. I mean, He's just a young Stan Lee. Like I was surprised that they CG'd his final cameo, right?
Yeah.
But I knew it was him as soon as I saw the sticker on the back of the car that said "Enough said." I'm like, oh, this is the Stan Lee cameo. And I wonder if they used his wife, I cannot remember her name, and they de-aged her to do this cameo for both of them. But anyway, yeah, he was just riding in a car. It's nothing important. It has nothing to do with the plot, but it was a really nice little spoiler.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna stay to the end, there is not an end credit or after credit scene, right? Except maybe sounds, and we'll talk about the sounds a little bit later. And that's it.
Yes. All right. Yes, Bandito, you have a good night. He's about to head out because he doesn't want to hear spoilers. So thank you for tuning in. Staying on here.
Mr. Toxic Me said the film was so good he gave it a 6 out of 5.
Damn.
Goddamn. That is really high. All right. So spoilers.
Let's talk about some of the highlights of the film.
Starting now. Spoilers. Somebody time that in the chat.
All right.
You should write spoilers.
All right.
Please. So people that join the chat eventually are like, hey, these assholes are talking about spoilers.
All right, spoilers. Okay.
All right, so if you have not seen the movie, now's the time to begin. So if you don't give a shit about spoilers, then you already downloaded the clip with everybody showing up at the end.
Exactly. So here's a basic synopsis of how the film went down. And this I had read a leaked description of how it was going to play out last year, and some of it was true, some of it wasn't. So basically, it starts out with right after this, or about 21 days after the snap, and Tony is still lost in space with Nebula. You have the Avengers down on Earth, and Captain Marvel comes and saves Tony, and they decide he's obviously can't do anything because he hasn't eaten he's malnourished.
They use a lot of
he's
CG in Tony to shrink him up, like in
Yeah.
the way that Benjamin Button was. He looks like a shriveled
He
older
does.
guy.
He could not
So
lose all the weight that Tom Hanks could.
all the-
in
all the-
Castaway.
All those trailers were fake trailers of him walking with them through the quantum wherever.
Yes, exactly.
All the trailers of him standing with them as they're like, "What are we gonna do? We'll go after him." There was a lot of fake footage in those trailers, and I'm so happy.
much fake footage. We kept he's
Yeah.
like, we're like, that's fake. That wasn't in there. That's all
Or
they
they
replaced this person with that person.
Yeah,
They did a really good job, guys.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so basically they have Captain Marvel now, and they're trying to figure out, where Thanos is. And of course, Nebula has an idea, and they have also found an idea because the seismic shift occurs whenever he uses the stones. So it happened a couple of days ago. So they go take a space mission trip to this planet, come to find out that Thanos had used the stones one last time to destroy them, and Thor gets his final blow and chops his head off. And so that's, pretty much there is no return, right? For that at this stage, they were like, this is it. We can't bring our friends back. We can't bring anyone back. It's all over. And then there's a big 5 years later, which is something that had been speculated that they would push and jump forward in time a bit. A lot of people had mentioned that because casting younger people's kids and things like that. So there was that spoiler.
I was a big fan of the way that was done, because it was done in such a dramatic way that the screen goes to black and you see 5. So I was like, oh, okay, 5 months later, years, and you're like, oh fuck, a lot of time has passed later.
Which, I mean, that pretty much matched what we thought kind of would be the deal, right? Because watching all of the trailers and doing our live reactions,
I didn't know Black
Widow's
roots
hair.
were going to grow for 5 years though.
Okay, this is he had an issue with the Groot growth of Scarlet or of Black Widow.
Hair grows a lot faster than that. Just saying, 5 years.
I don't know.
Not
I know nothing
everybody.
about them.
Not everybody.
My hair was like up to here. That's a long time to get down. Anyways, okay. So 5 years later, everyone's trying to move on. Cap's in a support group with Joe Russo's cameo
And Jim Starlin as a cameo.
Jim Starlin. That's right.
Creator of Thanos and in the Infinity Gauntlet, and a lot of the cosmic shit that you all love. He plays a little cameo in there.
No, Basti, Deadpool is not in the credits. Deadpool doesn't show up at all. There is no mention of mutants. So in my mind, they didn't go back into post-production to add anything about anyone else, because I think they're saving all of that for
There
later.
was some mention of an earthquake in the ocean.
Underneath, and like around
by
Wakanda.
So I'm thinking maybe Atlantis and Namor.
Oh, that
maybe.
was so
I
exciting.
mean, haven't they mentioned wanting to bring in Namor anyway? So
Yeah,
that could happen eventually. Because
exactly. As long as they play nice with Universal.
And I think
So-
I think they're doing another Wakanda movie, do another Black Panther movie.
Which they will, yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to have Namor be in it.
So we have the 5 years later scene. They're like, okay, Tony now has built his own life. He's gained all his weight back.
He has a child.
He has a kid now named Morgan,
5-year-old
which if you
Morgan.
paid attention to the Infinity War movie,
He
that's
had mentioned
exactly
that.
what he wanted. He's
Mhm.
living out in the woods with Pepper.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Scott Lang comes out of the quantum realm.
Because
and
of
he's like,
Rat.
okay,
presses the buttons.
Philip Evans, fucking Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, Philip.
Paul Rudd comes in and he's like, oh shit, Philip, you just made me happy. It's Jean Grey in the ocean. You're right. She could be in the cocoon. And I hope it
gosh,
turns out not to be Sophie.
No, I hope it's Namor.
Shut up, you two.
Anyways, so Scott Lang comes back. He's like, what the heck happened? So, of course, he goes to find his wife or his ex-wife and his daughter. Comes to find out his daughter is still alive and much older now. And then he goes to find the Avengers. And he goes to the Avengers compound. And they're all trying to move on. You have Black Widow is pretty much running everything.
She's looking for Clint, who's assassinating people.
Because his whole family, that was the very first scene, guys. They were not playing around, was Clint Barton's family all turning into dust.
Mm-hmm.
That was
incredible. So
yeah.
his way to balance out the universe is that all these good people died. So he's trying to kill all these
All
people
bad
that
people.
sold drugs or were like,
Makes sense to me.
I don't know, assassins. And he became Ronin.
Yeah.
Whatever. Sure, that origin works. And then we have everybody coming back together. They're like, oh shit, we got Paul Rudd back.
Like, hey, we got this quantum realm thing. I think
we can bring everybody back.
We might be able to use it for time travel. And
Yeah.
so, at first Tony doesn't really want to go into it because he moved on, right? But not everyone got that happy ending. I know it was bittersweet for him because he still missed Peter Parker. He has that picture of him and Peter from the Stark Industries internship and all that. but he got his wife, he got his kid. He ended up having a decent ending, whereas other people lost everything, like Clint and stuff like that. So eventually, but of course, Tony can't let anything go because that's Tony, right? And so Pepper and him have a talk, and she's like, you know, we know how you are. You have to do this, because he figured it out. And that's where, since Tony said no the first time, they go to find another professor.
There's a lot of scenes that reminded me of 80s time travel or weird science
which
movies.
They bring up.
Which they themselves
do.
It's very meta.
War Machine
in the way that
and
it acknowledges
Ant-Man,
the fact of what it is.
All of them acknowledge all of the different. They name, except for Doctor Who, they name all the different time travel stuff you could think of. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they did not mention Doctor Who, but everything else.
So everything has changed, like, and so they're like, "Fuck it, we'll bring the team back together again." There's a chance that we got to go back in time and collect. You know, we've killed Thanos, but we can collect all the Infinity Stones and make our own Infinity Gauntlet. And you know, I think one of the biggest shockers is like the Hulk hasn't been in any of the trailers, but we get Professor Hulk, which is kind of
they couldn't show that with, you know, any sort of mention or show of him would give it away immediately. What was going on.
That was a character kind of based on what Peter David did with the Hulk, and I think that was where I thought the use of CG was bad. And as much as I thought he was entertaining, I just didn't. He looked so plasticky and so fake.
Really, I loved it. It felt like a very good combination of the two for me personally.
There were a lot of like the whole scene with him eating looked so fake. It looked like I was watching Shrek 3, not Shrek 1, not that bad, but like Shrek 3 were really good detailed CG. But he looks so out of place with all the other characters, and that was my whole argument with, or my whole thing I said about the lighting has a lot to do with it, right? Like, he looked a lot better, to me at least, in that flashback scene of the Avengers.
Yeah, I was
when it wasn't Mark Ruffalo's face.
Just kept that look with the glasses.
Right? I don't know why, but the way that he looked so much better in Avengers than he did in this. And that was my big thing. That was my big CG thing that I'm like, man.
Now, my big good CG thing, though, was, you know, we had mentioned in our Captain Marvel review that we thought the use of CG was not that great. And we were, you know, we talked about the budget, right, for Captain Marvel. Whereas all the scenes she was in this time,
looked a lot better.
Much better CG.
Yeah.
Yes, much better CG of her powers and everything like that. Her face didn't look fake.
Yeah.
Like when they were flying or she was using her powers or whatever the case may be. So there was those two parallels. So much better on the Captain Marvel side.
So they have this master plan. It's called the Time Heist, right? So they go through time and they separate into 3 different teams, recovering all these stones.
Yes.
Everything goes according to plan for the most part, except they pull it Back to the Future 2.
Where Cap has to battle himself.
Well, that and they're like, oh no, we fucked up. We need to go back further in time to 1970. And then the big goof up because, yeah, that's where they lose Loki and the Tesseract. So Loki technically is still alive, maybe in this universe, because he has the Tesseract.
Yep.
Right? And Tony go back to 1970 to recover the Tesseract from that timeline.
And there's a lot of good moments in that, because not only does Cap get a glimpse of Peggy, but also Tony has a run-in with his dad, who's about to
very sweet, right before Tony's born.
Yes,
so,
and
you know,
it's
his
a good.
Is really nervous, and they're able to kind of bond and share some of that fatherly.
I will say this. I know some of the chat are asking questions.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I hate time travel and love time travel movies is that there's so many goddamn what ifs and loopholes that it gets to be a headache, right? Because we're going to get to the end where I'm like,
where we're confused on how Spider-Man's
don't make any sense. And I hate that about time travel and new alternate dimensions and stuff like that. And for a guy that's read a lot of comic books, goddamn, it's still kind of confusing. So, yeah, the plan works. They get it all back together, but not before Thanos finds out that, holy shit, these future people called the Avengers are trying to capture these Infinity Stones.
And how does he know that? Because Nebula's internal database network systems kind of met together. So the 2014 version of her, that's right before all the events of Guardians, gets a intercept message and memories from our current, I don't even know what the time at this point is, of Nebula. And so now that's how he figures out,
the Doc Brown
I did
from
survive.
1955.
I did survive. I did fulfill my destiny. So now I got to make sure I do that. And well, no, Mr. Taki, yeah, I don't know if they would, he does need to be around dark. Remember, those might be different timelines.
Right, this is a completely
There's
different
all
timeline
different
now.
things,
It's
but
weird.
they said it was young Loki anyways. He could be reincarnated or something like that, or it could be just a younger version of himself. We don't know what the show will entail.
So then that was the conflict, because I was telling, I think I told Amanda, like at the very beginning of the movie, things were going so smooth. I found myself almost a little bored, and I hate saying that because it was a lot of fun, but it didn't feel like the rest of the Avengers movies, which or comic book movies for that matter, which is not a bad thing, but there was no conflict. So as soon as Thanos shows up, you were like, oh shit, and I was like, fuck yes, we have conflict. Now we can get the plot going.
Well, we were wondering who the villain was going to be, right? Because they killed Thanos instantly, like in the beginning of it, right? So who was going to be but we know they fought him because of all of the trailers. We just didn't know where that fight would take place and what time it would take place. So
Loki
needed that.
I always assumed that would be the case anyways. So, following all of these trailers and everything else, I always assumed that in some sort of instance, whether they went back to that exact time before he snapped or did something, that it would be him. But I liked the way that it went down in this one. I thought that was really nice because it made you feel a little uncomfortable because you didn't know how this is going to go at all. And once you knew everything about, once he connected,
I was like 3 hours.
It wasn't until we get to the Soul Stone where you realize, oh shit, Clint or
Nat are gonna have to
make a sacrifice, and I really thought it was gonna be Clint.
I really did too,
because I mean, it's his wife and kids, of course.
Bittersweet. He sacrificed himself. They get to come back, but he doesn't get to. But then we end up with Black Widow dying,
which I found myself laughing, and I felt so bad because I know it was an emotional moment, but it got so silly when they were like, "No, I'm going to kill myself." And they kept like fighting each other, which I guess is what you. But
that's how they, that's how they are, I guess, and that's.
And then she comes and saves him at the last second, and he.
Yeah, but Richard brought up a good point. Unlike other superhero movies, it's all of the especially the beginning was very character driven, and if not for all the character pieces we had in it, I don't think it would have made the last half that much more impactful with how the characters interact with each other before everything started taking place and taking shape, especially the time travel stuff.
Because everyone keeps time travel.
Because everyone
movie logic. That's a good answer.
Yeah, movie logic. I mean, because someone had mentioned earlier about the Thor Lebowski. Because that was we talked about Thor has a big change. So obviously, not only did he fail technically in Infinity War because he didn't go for the head. By the time they got to Thanos in this one to get to his head, he got the head, but it was too late. The stones were destroyed. So for him, he failed and. New Asgard's back in Norway. Valkyrie's kind of doing her thing, and he's drinking beer, eating
because he has a very extreme case of PTSD, and he went through some severe trauma. And so to see how that affects him and how he deals with it, I thought was really interesting to have. I think it's really important to see our heroes go through things like this when they went to this incredibly traumatic experience, and it's not just all jokes. And to see Thor, who normally deals with things in stride, be so emotional and so, just honest with all of that was really important because you need to see those types of things. I think you
do because that's what would happen.
Such a manly dude, so you don't expect it from Mr. Machismo Thor. So I was really thankful, and I'm thankful we're getting more representation of people going through issues like that and dealing with it in that way. Because same with it was very reminiscent of Peter Parker and Spider-Verse for me.
And we'll probably see that. Yeah, we'll probably see them play on that whole aspect of PTSD and stuff with Spider-Man Far From Home as well, because a lot of the things that I have read about, they say he's recovering from, and he doesn't really want to be Spider-Man anymore. So going on this trip is like he's taking a vacation from it because everything that happened. And so we'll probably see them touch upon it again, which is great because PTSD is a very real thing and it needs to be explored, especially in these movies. Just because they're superheroes doesn't mean they can't go through emotions. And clearly, and
I think a lot of those moments were ruined for me with the emotions, So yes, I don't think we mentioned the fact that Thor is now fat and not taking care of his body. Yeah. So he goes back to see his mom and they have this really beautiful moment where he sees his mom and they're reconnecting. And there's these little jokes that I was like, oh, that kind of took away from the moment. And I think a lot of the dialogue was like that though. Don't get me wrong, it still moved me to the point of tears. There were some really
yeah.
beautiful moments that I was wanting to see, but
yeah, but I'm over these jokes. That was one thing I knew about before the movie.
Yeah,
like
it's
Marvel. They're known for their quips.
Yeah,
so it's almost like
there's quips, and then there's like, you know, it wasn't exactly necessary because you could have made jokes about his behavior, you know, or how he doesn't dress well or something, you know, like how he's just like.
Well, I feel like it's very much a Rocket thing because he made fun of Quill all the time for being fat too. So it's kind of hard to say.
Oh no, I don't mind Rocket. It was everybody.
It was everybody. Yeah,
it was everybody reacting to how big he was, which
even Iron Man called him, or even Tony called him.
I'm really tired of like fat people being the joke.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get it, you know, and I get that, like, oh, look, it's Thor, let himself go, but I'm over that. Like, I don't think that's necessary to do anymore, especially when he's really going through something.
So,
like,
I have
there's a guy necessary, but I don't think it's detracted from how much I love the movie. It's just like, if I could fix one thing,
yeah,
do that.
I would fix Shrek Hulk. That's what I would fix.
Yeah.
Edwin Ulysses says, not cool at all. I hated it. Did you hate the entire movie?
The whole movie?
Or
Doctor Strange? So Doctor Strange did do what he does.
Well, let's get there. Let's get there. So there was a big fight. It was big epic comic book fight. Probably the most comic book fight I have ever seen in a comic book movie, which is ridiculous.
Because they were able to collect all the stones. They come back. They get to use the gauntlet, and they snap their fingers and they're like, okay, is everyone back? And then all of a sudden, Clint's phone starts ringing. However, remember, the other Nebula and Thanos had found out about their plan, so they switched the Nebulas, and she had given the pin particles to Thanos, so he comes with his whole Black Order, his whole crew, his
massive ship,
basically blow up the Avengers compound. And in the rubble is where our major fight and the big conflict, or a big, scene takes place. And you finally get Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man all together in their outfits, respectively, getting ready to fight Thanos. You have all these other characters. You know, Clint's trying to keep the gauntlet away from all of the war dogs that are after him right now. You have Hulk's trapped, and then you have Ant-Man trying to get Hulk out of the rubble and all that stuff. So you have all these characters, and then you have that amazing fight scene with our three main characters.
And that's where I got to see my very first thing that I've been wanting to see since I was a little kid, and that is Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. Because he is the only one worthy enough, and holy shit. And even Thor was like, I knew it! Oh man, it was so fucking awesome. And, you know, everybody gets their asses kicked. Iron Man, Thor, and Cap, including Cap. But then you get to see the second thing I've always wanted to see, which is Cap stand up, last man standing. Like, that's exactly the way it played out in Infinity Gauntlet, when he has no powers, his fucking shield is broken. Man.
And he's not only facing Thanos, he's facing his entire army. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you see a Doctor Strange portal. So I know, yes, Doctor Strange didn't do a ton, but he did exactly what he needed to do. He opened up the portals for all of these different areas where all the heroes had come back. And then you see Okoye, and you say Black Panther, and you say Shuri step out.
You see everybody that has been in, except for Lady Sif.
Except for Lady Sif. She was a glaring omission. But other than that, they all step out.
And then I told the band, I'm like, he's got to say it.
I started pulling my eyes out. When they started appearing, cry,
and as soon as he said Avengers Assemble, I stood up and clapped. Like, I've been waiting for that moment.
Oh God, just thinking about
Iron Man 1 was so perfect.
I've always wanted to see all these characters, and they all, it was phenomenal. Maybe I'm a fangirl, I don't care, but that was what you wanted.
That scene was the most comic book scene I've ever seen in a movie.
I'm sure everyone's theaters were probably as insane as ours, because ours was clapping and cheering that whole entire part. There's a lot of great stuff. You had some really beautiful moments between Peter and Tony. And I love when Peter,
Amanda's favorite.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Oh, you were crying the entire time. Oh, when Peter says, don't stun the kill mode.
Oh, instant kill. Yes, someone else just said in the chat. That was amazing. Finally, we can see what it does.
And then I know YouTube loved, I did too, where all the female characters, when Captain Marvel shows back up to fight,
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Ooh, and she's so good too.
She's got a haircut. She got a
love her haircut. Yeah.
and she's got the
The
gauntlet.
They're trying to keep it away, right? They want to take it back in time.
Yeah, and they're like,
That's
how
the
are you
goal.
going to get there? And all the female characters stand up.
Right.
Oh my God. Like, I can't wait to see this with my daughters.
Me too.
And, you know, I was so glad Valkyrie was there too. Like, man, Valkyrie was, I mean, stole the show, this movie, whenever we did get to see her, because, you know, for one, it was nice to see her like on Earth, but like with the Pegasus and doing all this awesome stuff, it was just so cool. I love her so much. But man, yeah, everybody, that whole fight scene was
this
really
is the most
cool.
badass most of the characters have been. Like Scarlet Witch.
Oh,
Scarlet Witch was fucking awesome.
I'm glad they brought her back for it.
Wanda deserves this. Because Wanda is incredibly powerful, and we don't really get
in the Marvel universe, yeah.
Well, in the comic book, she has a completely different power.
Of course,
but in this, you don't really get to see her power up until this movie, what she's able to do.
Yeah.
Right? I don't even know how to explain her powers in the fucking MCU. When she hex, move things.
She has like some kind of telekinetic powers a little bit, yeah.
Anyway, I'm not gonna get into the hex.
Yeah,
powers, in the comics, but I thought that was a really awesome moment. Like, everybody had really good moments in this movie. Not a lot of moments like of dialogue. A lot of reunions I was expecting. Like, I was expecting maybe more Groot and Rocket.
And I explain that as because they're getting a Guardians 3, unlike the other ones.
Or maybe as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Or as Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think the reason they play on that was because of that.
Like, I really felt like I was owed something with the Guardians a little more than what we got. Like, even if it was just a quick, like, hey, we're back, Rocket. And then there's this kind of moment between all of them. You know, Rocket is a little teary-eyed, and he's like, oh, never mind, forget it. Y'all are losers or something. Yeah. And we didn't get anything. Even that moment when we got like Rocket and Groot together for like a second and like, oh, okay, here it is, and nothing.
Yeah, I think the Guardians kind of got a little bit of the, like, you know, backlight because it's an Avengers movie. I get it. Yeah. But I was I was waiting for Quill to be, you know, saying something.
Well, he got his thing, and that was with Gamora.
Yeah, but even that was like, you know, Gamora, and that's another confusing fucking shit. It's not his Gamora.
Yeah, it's not his Gamora. It's 2014 Gamora. It's
out of time, place Gamora that doesn't have any feelings.
Still here, yeah, who doesn't even know who he is.
So, I mean, and honestly, I think I was talking to both of you when we were eating it right after a movie. Like, that is, Gamora's return is totally a comic book return. Like, that is totally what has happened to characters in the comic books. They've taken that character out of, I mean, that's how Tony Stark came back. They're like, oh my God, Avengers The Crossing. They killed Tony Stark, and they were like, oh, let's go get a young Tony Stark. He's a smart, and then time displaced Tony Stark takes over. And then we get the death of a main character.
Yeah, so obviously he talks to Doctor Strange in the midst of this battle, and he's like, you know, how's this supposed to end? And Doctor Strange's like, I can't tell you, if I do, it won't come true, right? Mm-hmm. And they get to the point where they're passing around the gauntlet. Spider-Man is doing this really cool thing where he's getting passed around by everyone as he's trying to play keep away, because he's really good at playing keep away. Captain Marvel tries, but eventually it does get in the hands of Thanos. It gets on his arm. Everyone, Captain Marvel, all of them are trying to, at one point, get it off. And Strange gives Tony a look, and you think he's won, but you realize Tony had put him on his own gauntlet that he made on his Iron Man suit this whole time. And he uses it.
Not before he says.
Not before.
Thanos
says. Thanos says, I am inevitable. Because he says that in the beginning, too, that before they chopped his neck off. Or his head off. And then he goes, I'm inevitable. And then when Tony has the stones, he goes, I am Iron Man. And he snaps his fingers, and all of Thanos' people disappear. But because we know how that snap affects people, of course, Hulk could take it because of the gamma radiation that he's already exposed to. And of course, Thanos, because of his, powers or however he is. But Tony's mortal body cannot take that. Mm-hmm. And so you get a very emotional scene with Peter Parker. I don't want to talk about it. And
with Pepper.
And it was really beautiful. And honestly, not just like you see him go, and Peter, I forgot, who saw him, who was with him first?
Rhodey. So his best friend,
and then Peter. And then after that, Pepper shows up, and I really thought the way that she said goodbye was beautiful.
It was.
I'm glad it
was what he told his dad.
Yep.
What?
He told his dad everything's gonna be okay.
Yep. And she was
Everything's
the same
fine.
Yeah,
thing.
and that's what I was
You
talking
can
about.
rest
Like,
now.
I think it's really beautiful how she didn't just go to Tony like, Tony, no, like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really appreciate this, like the recognition that this is over, and you need to give him peace. This man that you love did a truly heroic thing,
Mm-hmm.
and she gave him the permission to have peace and rest, and it was really beautiful. And so I'm really glad that that's how it went, and I think that's what he deserved. And honestly, I'm glad he died because I think that's a perfect ending to his story.
It was, yeah.
It's a good character arc. It's the end of an era. He was,
10
if
years,
you're not gonna sign your contract again, then this is the way to go.
It was the best ending, and that's kind of how that the conflict ends there, and then we get our, I guess, multiple endings.
I'm almost okay with multiple endings.
Which I'm okay
I
with.
wanted
That's
more.
what I wanted more too. So you get, of course, you get Tony's funeral and
Oh, fuck.
the kid
Which is
from
the big
Iron Man.
scene that everyone went to.
If anyone watched our live, we were talking about the future of the MCU universe, and I kept going on and on to Omar about
what 5 years
Ty
Amanda
Simpkins,
has
who
been
played Harley in the Iron Man 3. I was like, I'm telling you, he's gonna show up in this movie. He was on set filming. He's gonna be in it.
No.
And he was.
This whole bullshit started 5 years ago through text going, oh my God, this kid signed a 5-movie deal
He's
with
gonna
Marvel.
be in it.
He's going to be Spider-Man. And I was like, what the fuck
Okay,
are
well,
you
he wasn't
talking
Spider-Man,
about?
but I mean, it doesn't matter. He ended up being. He might be something. They kept him on.
Yeah. So he wasn't the only character that got his arc finished. Then we also have, I think, to me, as a satisfying ending to Captain America's story.
100%.
I predicted this. I knew
You knew it was gonna happen.
It made the most sense. Like, it makes sense for Tony to die, I think, because it wouldn't make sense for him to continue living on and not be involved. And then for Captain America, either he dies or he goes back in time and he gets to go stay with Agent Carter, which makes the most sense because in Infinity War, they kept thinking about her and there's flashback, so the push for her, I mean, it was going to go that way regardless. But it got me really good because, we had the point where he goes back in time to put back all the stones where they got them, put back the hammer, and I just knew he wasn't coming back. And I just knew, we see old Steve and they have a little talk, and then we have a flashback to his life where we finally got the dance, and it got me so good. I don't know why. I guess because I've been waiting for it, and I'm not even that into Captain America. Although I love Agent Carter, though. I love Agent Carter. I love them together. And for him to go back and for them to reclaim that with themselves and get that last dance.
It was beautiful.
Oh, I just immediately, I just lost it. It was so good.
And he got to pass the torch on too, which we talked about this as well, considering Disney's announcements of their TV shows. But but basically when it only should take 5 seconds in their time for him to leave and come back, even though he could be gone for like hours doing whatever he needs to do to get all the stones back to where they belong. But he never comes back. And then Bucky's like, hey, look over there. And there's old Steve sitting by the lake. So he tells Sam to go over there, and then they have a discussion, and then he gives Sam his shield. And basically you see a passing of the torch. And I had always thought that they would make Falcon the next Captain America. If we were to continue on with Captain America as a, character, it would be Falcon. But then we were like, wait a minute, but what about this Winter Soldier Falcon buddy cop?
Maybe they're changing the title unless there's a new Falcon, the kid from Iron Man 3.
It's not going to be Ty Simpkins.
So Tyler Blount, nicest guy on the internet, just joined the chat, and he's talking about timelines. Yeah, man, we're not talking timelines because that shit gets crazy.
It's true, because another endings that we had a question about is when you see Peter Parker embrace Ned.
Right.
Beautiful, but wait a minute. Is Ned 5 years older? Did all of his friends,
did all his
all
high school buddies, like,
Conveniently, all of Peter Parker's friends, all
right.
classmates.
I'm just not, I don't know if I to try to explain it.
I don't understand. You know what? There's a lot of things I'm okay with because I can't. God damn it! It's like watching a Christopher Nolan movie. If you break down every plot hole, you're gonna end up hating the movies. So a lot of these things I'm just taking with a grain of salt in explaining it. Like somebody said in the chat earlier, movie logic.
Movie logic.
Just what I do with comic books. Yeah, comic book science. Sure, they can come back from the dead.
Because the other
The
thing,
one thing I was surprised about, though, is that he went back and fixed all this stuff. Why didn't he bring Black Widow back?
that's what I was thinking. Because I thought if he put the Soul Stone back,
He can't. Well, I think he will though. I think like
In the Black Widow movie.
yeah, maybe that's what it was.
I feel like if she's gonna come back at all, it'll be because when Captain America brings back the Soul Stone, he's able to do an equivalent exchange, right? And so give Red Skull the Soul Stone in exchange for Black Widow. But we also like if it depends on what they decide to do, because we know from comic book world that it doesn't necessarily work like that with the Soul Stone. Soul Stones can hold multiple people, and people can leave the Soul Stone. It's not unheard of. It happens.
Which is what we thought.
Because that's what happened there.
Right, it's where Adam Warlock is where all those people
Yeah, they all
out.
came back.
Exactly.
I'm surprised that's not the way they brought back Gamora. Instead, they brought this time-displaced Gamora, which will be making Guardians 3 really interesting if they go that route or if they go the
James
route.
always said that he wanted to make Gamora more of a main focus and main character of Guardians 3 anyways. So this would be an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, that would be. Because and speaking of Guardians 3, so that was another interesting where this gonna go. So we never talked about Thor's ending.
Yeah.
So basically Thor decides to hand Valkyrie the reins and let her be king of Asgard or queen of Asgard, however you want to call it. And he decides he's gonna go off and be who he is, which is part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess. He's going off with Quill. They have a cute little back and forth on who's the leader. Me, it would always be Thor, whatever. And of course, I'm happy about that because I thought those scenes in Infinity War with that whole crew was fantastic. That was great chemistry between all of them. And he made the joke as Guardians of the Galaxy, which we all know, could be a real thing.
Series.
Like,
Mr. Awesome, I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, oh, cool, a reboot of Gamora. Maybe she'll be more like her badass comic book self instead of like the movie version of Gamora that I never liked.
But I don't think she's
like
a really
her.
a reboot of herself because she was still trying to.
But she's younger and she's more
ruthless.
evil at this point in her life.
Was she? I thought in
Or
the
li-
Endgame, her goal was always to get that stone away from
Yeah.
Thanos. That's why she was stealing it to sell to someone else so that she could get rid of it.
Now Thor's got to get oh my god, I hope I see the opening of Asgardians in the Galaxy is Thor with a bowflex and Peter Quill.
Because he's
Spotting
my
him.
gosh, because Peter Quill is about to bow
You gotta
flex.
commit, man. You
Gotta
gotta commit.
I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna get a bow flex. If
Fat
that
Thor.
happened,
You know what, dude? I was so happy because I know she kept saying, "Is somebody gonna sex Thor up again,
no,
please?"
shut
And I was
up.
like, "No, I like Fat Thor because that's awesome." Like I'm so glad they kept Fat Thor through the entire
Well, at least we got a
movie.
lot of jokes about Captain America's ass, so that's all good.
Sure, I'll give you that.
There
Yes,
you
we
go.
did.
That
We
was
did.
hilarious.
Thor was beautiful the way he was.
Yes.
You can do whatever he wants. Maybe then Chris Hemsworth can like take a break. Because bless all those boys' hearts, they have to work out so
No,
much to be
he
these
can't.
dumb films.
He's created his fitness app. He needs to stay fit for that. He can't lose weight. That man is made. Now he's built a business on his fitness.
Shallow.
It's impossible. You know how he is. He built a whole lifestyle around his fitness now.
I have no idea about this lifestyle you're talking about.
He has an app. Oh, anyways, okay.
Yeah, I have no idea. So does Chuck Norris.
Oh, does he? No, but yeah, Paul Rudd had a good zingers in there about Cap. He's like, that's America's ass. And the Cap fought himself. And as he's fighting himself and knocked him out, he's like, that is America's ass.
So weird.
That was great. I love it. I love how he made the joke. He's like, when his younger self said I could do this all day, he's like, I know. Like,
So the very end, and for everybody that stayed past the credits and stuff, you hear what seems to be clinging, and I was like, okay, that's got to be Tony Stark working
Hitting.
on his Iron Man outfit.
yeah.
That's all you hear, and then the Marvel logo comes on, and that's all you
And
see.
I think that's what it is.
It has to be
I think
Tony
it's a
Stark
full
'cause
circle.
because he died, or
Because I think it's
No,
just
it's
bringing
a
it
full
back to the
circle to,
beginning
like, the
of
first
Iron
movie
Man
we've ever
1 when he
seen.
was in the cave working
On it. That's what it was. Because yeah, I was trying to look it up. Anyone else had theories, but that's the
That's
thing.
exactly what I thought. I mean,
That's
it really,
what I thought,
it
too.
could be goddamn Iron Man 3 kid working on his Iron Man outfit. So
You're not happy about
know.
this.
Not till that asshole shows up in a movie. Yes, I want to see Thor in Guardians of the Galaxy because
Me too. I hope he's in 3.
ever since, like, we're gonna do our ranking of Marvel movies, but ever since Winter Soldier, they broke the formula of these standalone movies where they were like, okay, no more standalone movies from now on. Every one of these Marvel movies is going to be a buddy movie. So,
Someone's with
Winter
them.
Soldier was with
Black
Black Widow. Thor was with
Hulk.
So I was like, yes, this is what makes it work, because I like when these characters come together. You find them, more appealing almost.
Well, yeah, they have someone to play against instead of just one villain, which I think really helps when you see those. They become more of a real character when you see them interacting with people they love or people they respect or people they have some kind of like familial or friendly conflict with, not just the villain. So
I was really happy with it. Is there anything else y'all wanted to add?
No,
Any other little Easter eggs y'all noticed besides Hail Hydra?
Hail Hydra! I was like, wait a minute,
really
is that because of the elevator scene, which it looked just like the elevator scene, guys, or
amazing.
because of the comic book where he became a Hydra agent, or is it both? Is it a reference to both of those things? Either way, it doesn't matter. It was amazing. Yeah, and even I'm interested to see. I want to know what happens with this new timeline we have been given. And what's Scarlet Witch's future in this timeline? Well, she has her own show with Wanda and Vision. So what happened there? Build a new Vision. Shuri's back.
Sure.
Right.
She built a new, and she's like, "Why are you idiots trying to just build them around the soul gem?" Remember? She said that in Infinity War.
You don't have to build around them.
Since the stone is getting returned, I don't know how that works out.
And
because he was made from Tony. I mean, he has a really weird origin anyway. He's made from Tony, and he's made from
Ultron, right?
Ultron and part Hulk, I think, too, in there or something. So I mean, they could still keep him around. The Soul Stone isn't really needed, and Shuri figured out a way. That's what she was trying to do. Remember, she was trying to remove it in Infinity War.
What about your favorite cameos as far as when they went back in time, all the different timelines? What were your favorite cameos that you got to see? Like Tilda Swinton showed up as the Ancient One.
I was surprised to see Rene Russo show up as
I was
Thor's
surprised
mom.
to see the 3 seconds of Natalie Portman. And when she showed up at the premiere, because she hasn't been to a premiere in a while, I was like, why is she at the premiere? She wasn't at Infinity War. She wasn't at, the other one. So why is Natalie Portman there? But she had like a 3-second cameo as Jane from the Dark World.
Very Back to the Future too. We can't let our past self see us. Which
and yet
makes no sense because we have already established that is a different timeline. Anyways. So I enjoyed a lot of it. I think Rene Russo's the one that I was like, oh, Robert Redford. I was not expecting
Alexander Pierce.
Retired Robert Redford, like wonderful.
I'm
now,
sure
he is an
Marvel
American
paid
icon.
him some money to
come back to like, oh man, I was like, what?
And of course, since it's the Russo brothers, we got a couple of community actors in there too, playing some small cameos, which is wonderful.
And, what's his name?
Ken Jeong. Yeah, he was in it too.
Captain America fight with past Captain America. You're right, Omnipool. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking of the doppelganger from Infinity War in the comic books.
I like how he made it so he's like, no, he thought he was fighting Loki the whole time, which could have been. I mean, because remember in that scene that he was trying to make fun of Captain America and he turned into him, and he did that before in Dark World too. So that's why it's fun to see that callback as well.
I was most excited to see. I mean, I was really happy to see Korg. I love Korg.
Him and Meek. Oh,
it was just
playing Fortnite.
I remember once I learned that they were still alive, I was like, they better be in this movie. Besides that, I mean, it's always good to see Agent Carter. So I love that show. I'm so glad to see Peggy. It was pretty great.
We didn't see Sharon, but Collector.
I don't care about Sharon.
Oh my God, you two hate Sharon?
I don't care for Sharon Carter. No. That was weird.
She's Agent 55.
I feel they never should have made her a love interest for Cap.
No,
it was just never worked out. It was never there for me.
And that's why they come back up. So
that's why let's not bring it up again. Collector said Ancient One, and it makes all the Doctor Strange stuff. The little we saw makes me excited for Doctor Strange 2.
Thank you, Mr. Awesome. So when I first went to see Iron Man, a lot of people complained that Jarvis is an AI. This is stupid. So I fucking love the fact that they put in an actual Jarvis with Tony Stark's dad, with Howard Stark, as he's driving away.
Those are the same actors that are in Agent Carter too. So
I never watched Agent Carter.
Oh, I didn't watch Agent Carter either. So
my God.
That's good to know. That's good. Yeah, that's probably why I didn't laugh. I didn't watch
Shield. It was the same actors.
Yeah.
Wait, there was a Jarvis back then?
Great. Yes. They're
I tried to watch those.
I tried to watch Shield, but it was Well,
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I'm glad you watched it. Because it's just like it's hard for me to watch ways.
We are fucking killing Maddie.
I know,
she's choked up. I'm sorry, Maddie.
I was so excited to see them. So I mean, now it makes sense that you guys weren't as excited because I was like, no, those are literally the same actors from the show.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like obviously the same Howard Stark because he's in the movies. They just had to de-age him a little bit.
Yeah, not the same Howard Stark from the first Iron Man.
No, not that one. That was the same one we had. Anyways, but yes, I like the signatures at the end, and the end credits of all the main.
That was nice.
That was beautiful.
It was a nice little send-off.
And everyone clapped for them. And
so here's something before we give our final score. No, Killmonger did not show up, Batsy. I'm sorry. Neither did Sif. Justice for Sif. Can't kill characters off screen, damn it. Can't have the A-Force without Sif. What the fuck, Marvel? Anyway,
this is not.
Who's coming back?
The MCU. What do you mean?
Who's coming back?
When all said and done?
All said and done. We know Cap is done. We know Iron Man's done.
Black Widow might be done. I think Clint's done because he's definitely going to spend time with his family.
Clint's coming back to the
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
What?
Well, maybe
is that a TV show I don't know about?
Yeah, they're doing a Hawkeye show.
He may not be there for the whole time, but he'll be there for the beginning whenever
he'll be like a mentor and stuff.
Training.
But as far as an Avenger, as far as doing like Avenger work, I don't think that he'll be doing a lot of that anymore.
I don't think we're having any real Avengers movies going forth. If we do, it'll be more space related.
Oh well, yeah, definitely. With the Guardians going off with Thor,
I think taking a break from Avengers would be a smart move.
They need to. They need to focus on other characters.
This has been their flagship title for the last, since 2012. So, I don't think we'll see Hulk. I think that character is kind of done.
We got Professor Hulk.
We might see some cameos, but
that's pretty much.
I'm ready for
new characters,
new characters, and new blood, new series, and new spin-offs, and Nova. I'm ready. But if they're gonna do Nova, they're gonna go with Sam Alexander. They're not gonna do Richard Rider.
No.
Because hold on, Maddie. Because what's hot right now is minorities. Sam Alexander's half Latino. We don't have a Latino representation. They're gonna go with Sam. I'm calling it right. Listen, okay, it's gonna be Ricardo Ryder,
but not have him be a white boy. I'm like,
it's gonna be Ricardo.
Get over it.
No, I think they're gonna go Sam, and I think Richard might be his mentor, but they're gonna go the Sam Alexander way. It makes sense. Rich Ryder's my boy, so of course I'm upset, but it's just the way movie studios are buying up all these.
If we're gonna do that, just give us Miss Marvel, because that's what people really want is Miss Marvel. So
yeah,
I think that would make a good TV show.
That's what I think. Jinx. I think that would be a good TV show too. I don't see it as a movie, but a good ongoing series.
I definitely see it as a movie. I think it'd be really fun, and I think it would give it a relatable, because right now, we've got Tom Holland, right, and that he's kind of our younger,
only young person, because all the other young characters they've put in
superheroine, and she'd be great. Now, I wouldn't bring her in right away because I think part of what makes her so great is the way that she idolizes Captain Marvel and some of the other superheroes. So it's always fun to bring her in as more of a fangirl type.
And they can honestly tie that into the Inhumans.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah.
Whenever they revamp the Inhumans in a proper, justified way. What about, I guess out of the 6 characters, I don't see anybody, maybe Black Widow coming back out of
I'm still trying to figure out if they really are doing this movie what it's going to be.
They casted all these. I don't know.
Well, they said it'll be a prequel.
All right. See. Before we give our final score, I know I was emotionally moved to tears, but I was moved to tears when I heard Avengers Assemble. That's what drove me to tears, and I started clapping because as a fanboy, that's what I've been wanting to see on the big screen. There was an emotional moment that I think Maddie and I talked about right after the movie, which is Tony Stark's funeral when he leaves the message to his daughter. And that I know
got me a lot.
Yeah. Love you 3000.
And I think I teared up at that too. And you cried throughout the whole movie. From the beginning all the way to the end. All the way to the clanging. You were tearing up the clanging. Oh, I got Tony Stark clanging all the way.
Well, I can't help myself. I get too emotionally invested in this.
That's okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. No one can take that away from you. End of an era, indeed. All right, so ladies first. What would you give this movie out of 10? Keep in mind, it's still fresh. We've only seen it one time. We just got out of it. Let's do it.
9 or 10 out of 10, I guess.
9 or 10. You're such a cheater.
So let's do a quick ranking update. Guardians 2 is still my favorite, followed by Thor Ragnarok. This hasn't topped that. I had a great time. Now, if I got to see more of my Guardians, maybe I would have felt differently because that's who I care about the most. Let me just rep my girl real quick, But I had a great time. I think if it's not a 10 out of 10, it's like a 9.5.
Okay, that's fair enough. I love that. Yeah, feel free in the chat to leave what you guys think.
Yeah,
I
we
already
got a
see
lot
a
of
couple.
9.5s.
What about you?
There's I would
10
give
out
it,
of 10.
I mean, it would be, I would give it a 9.75 out of 10.
That's fair.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal movie. To me, I don't know if there'll ever be quite another superhero movie like this. It was an experience that I don't think that, the careful planning and time they put into it, even if they've messed up timelines in the past and rearranged dates to make it suit their needs, I don't care. It was a good full circle for a lot of characters. It was beautifully done. Russo brothers, hats off to you. It was great.
If you're watching,
you're not, but if
Joe,
you are,
Anthony, call us. We got ideas for not Sam Alexander. This is hard for me because as a fanboy, of course, this is a fucking 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
As a fanboy, there were some scenes in there that from my youth of reading comic books, I wanted to see in the big screen. As a moviegoer and as an average dude that just reviews movies on a fucking YouTube channel, I think 9.5 for me. It was great. I don't know if I liked it more. I don't think I don't think I liked it as much as the original Avengers, and I don't think I liked it as much as Infinity War because it had a little bit of slow times and pacing and just I'm gonna go see it again and but for right now 9.5 I think that's fair. It's a wonderful movie,
and I think that has to do with all the time jumps and things like that. Whereas especially in Avengers,
Back to the Future 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I was okay with time jumps.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was very streamlined, start to finish. The plot was it was just always forward motion, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I think Avengers is just a good streamlined movie.
And I think I give the Hulk CG so much crap because we're so far into this movies that I'm expecting so much more. I'm almost expecting perfection. I don't want to be taken away from a movie because of something that stands out like that during a certain scene. So 9.5, 9.75. Mm-hmm. Maddie, did you go with a 9.5?
I think she said
9.5. Let's be safe.
Awesome. And 10 out of 10, Philip. Is that because Paul Rudd was in it?
Yeah, because Paul Rudd was in it. Buddy, I don't care what you say. He's my guy. That was my guy.
I'm curious what a guy named Avengers fan is going to give it. All right, 9.75 for sure. So feel free to add those in the chat. Let us know what you all guys
think.
Yeah, Loki is back. Different timeline Loki.
Different timeline Loki. I'm interested to see what comes of some of the characters we didn't really get to touch upon.
And see, that's the thing. Whenever you throw movies, whenever you add time displaced characters like that, then nobody's really dead. They could go back and get Iron Man from 2012 too.
It's why J.K. Rowling said she would never use a time turner after she used it in Prisoner of Azkaban, yet she used the hell out of it in her stupid play that she did, The Cursed Child, so many years later after the Harry Potter stuff was finished.
We're never going to hear the end of this.
So she just lied her ass off on that. She's like, it's just too hard. Time travel needs to stay.
I was about to quote J.K.
Were you?
No. I'm talking about fucking Avengers. Fucking incredible. 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, that's exactly what I gave it. I'm going to go see it again, make sure that I think I was really happy with it. I was emotionally moved.
I'm not going to pee during the Ronin scene. That's when I peed. I couldn't hold it in, guys, because we got these cool, my Captain America cups all the way over there. We got cool cups, and I had to. I should have just bought the cup and didn't put it in. I still paid $15 for it. I should have not put it in it. So I peed during the Ronin scene, guys. So I didn't,
Not sure why they need to know.
Okay, I want to go see it again so I can go see that scene.
So you can go pee during a different scene. I like that you go see movies twice so you know when to go pee.
It's a good time. That's a good thing.
You should start doing your reviews based on the time you go to the bathroom.
Well, I knew I had a feeling it was coming, that scene. So I was like, it's going to be a moment between Black Widow and it's good. I can go to the bathroom. I'll come back. I didn't, a lot of this stuff was unpredictable.
Okay, so Martin the Beast asked a question during the scene where Ant-Man saves everybody and everybody gets out. Like War Machine gets a new costume. They never say where that costume came from, right?
No, they don't make a mention of it.
Did Rocket make him something really quick? Because he was hanging out with Rocket.
Yes, he was.
It was Rocket Raccoon. Movie, logic, science, comic book science. There you go.
That's all.
Time, displace, suit. He found. I don't know. That's a good question. I was asking myself the same thing because I'm like, that suit looks really pimped out. And I forgot to bring it up again at the end because there was so much going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on.
Nash Villains agrees with
Nash
me
Villains,
with the Hulk CG scenes. Yeah, man. Took me out of it for a second.
Yeah, a few bad jokes. We're not gonna lie there. There were some great jokes and there was some other stuff that was
I'm not even gonna say bad. I'm just gonna say misplaced jokes. Like they shouldn't be there to begin with. Like let can't you just tell a story just for a few minutes without the Marvel quip? I get it. You guys are funny. I get it.
You got some,
but I don't need it thrown in my face. Wait till Spider-Man comes back.
Yeah, I can't wait for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Or is it Captain America and Winter Soldier? Were they just saying Falcon because they want to give it away?
Or is it Iron Man 3?
Skip that one.
Not Iron Man 3 kid.
What's next for Marvel?
He's gonna be Nova.
Sam Alexander. What's next for Marvel? We don't know. Besides
Annihilation Saga.
Well, Carter, we did do a video about that. If you want to check back in our archives, we did do a live video where we talked about what we expect from the future of Marvel as far as Marvel movies that are based in the MCU. The only one coming out past this is Spider-Man. Yes, Dark Phoenix coming out, but that is not
Eternals.
Yes, Eternals.
Nothing's been made yet.
Nothing's been made yet. I think apparently they're going to start production on Black Widow soon, if that is an actual thing happening. We know Doctor Strange, Scott Derrickson is writing and working on that. So that's going to come out too. The second one, Black Panther 2 is supposed to be coming out. We know Guardians 3, but remember, he's not doing it until after he's done with Suicide Squad, which doesn't come out till 2021.
I don't know why you just don't have segments by yourself. I could just listen to you talk.
But yeah, we did do a segment
idea about the schedules. You always inform me of stuff, and I'm like, really?
We did do a live video. You can watch that, Carter, if you want, and get more information on that and see what we want. Which apparently I wanted Iron Man 3 kid, and he showed up.
Shang-Chi. That's right, Shang-Chi.
Yes, he's also
So we have some properties that we know are coming. We just don't know for sure any details about when they're going to be released, and we're assuming Amanda has said D23 is going to announce it.
D23, yeah, they're not. They have moved away from San Diego Comic-Con for their major announcements. They may still have their smaller shows and stuff, do stuff at San Diego Comic-Con, but as far as their big announcements, they're moving all to D23 because that's their convention, and now that Disney owns them, that's Disney wants that stuff. They want to make their event the highlight. And that's the best way to do it. Same with this Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. So Basti, I think Cassie or Ant-Man's daughter is Stature from Young Avengers.
That's what I want to see. An Ant-Man family movie.
Okay. There's two people that will see it. Amanda and Philip Evans. And probably Matt. And everybody else. Fucking everybody went to go see Ant-Man and Wasp. Okay, somebody brought that up earlier about future Nebula killing past Nebula. But once again, time travel is different characters. Sure.
Yeah.
Movie logic. All right. Is that everything, Amanda? Maddie? Is that everything y'all want to do? Is there anything else?
I'm good.
I can't believe we didn't mention this. Blame me. I'm like, I don't know.
Post it somewhere. No, I think that's everything.
Okay, then do us the honor.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. Sorry about the delay, but we appreciate you guys sticking with us and coming to see our review. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button and follow us on all of our social media channels at @NameItCon.
Let's do it, Philip. Go ahead. Sorry.
We also have a Patreon. So if you want to support us or our channel, make sure to check out our Patreon. It's in the description of our channel as well. And remember, everyone, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint. Have a great night. Whatever it takes, guys. # whatever it takes.
Okay, so you have to stop the broadcast, remember? You're used to me.